Alrighty. So the first thing I would like to show you all in I'm in Blackboard here. And if you go over to classes, oops, and then go over to project 10, there is a folder here called furniture. And in it, there are a whole bunch of DWG files here, blocks of the furniture that we're going to use today. And I should have zip these together so it'd be easier for you. But what you're going to need to do for each one of these is just right click and then save as or save link as, and then go over to your jump drive or your thumb drive or wherever you have your uh, wherever you have your 2D blocks. And there should be a folder called Office, or if not, maybe I created this folder called Office. But within there, you should just store all of those blocks. So there's one, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them over there. So when we're doing our furniture plan, we'll use these blocks to insert into our file. Okay, so I'm not going to save that because obviously I have them all saved. Also in there is Office Project Furniture examples, and I'll show you all that. And that is just some, I think there's another one. I guess not. So I'll show you that, and that's just some visuals so that you have an idea of what the heck it is, the systems furniture that we're installing. I also have under Project 10, and this is not in the Project 10 furniture folder, there is a file here, furniture plan with layers, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then just earlier, I also uploaded furniture plan notes, and these are my notes. So hopefully you can see my chicken scratch when you see this on with just the names of the pieces of furniture, just so you know what the heck stuff is. So yeah, so those are the things that you'll need to download to help you out in getting this stuff in. All right, so let's look at that stuff. So so this is the furniture plan showing the layers, and you can see that they really went, on that 27 degree angle. They really took it seriously here, and all of the stuff is sort of on that angle. And now these walls kind of make a little more sense now that we've got the systems furniture in place here. The furniture notes, the furniture plan notes, is my notes here that are just kind of identifying what each one of these pieces of furniture are, just so that you're not sort of scratching your head trying to figure it out. There's also another file called furniture blocks, and these are just, this is just the furniture here, just kind of put on here just so you can see it. You don't really need to. Well, I guess it'd be good to download this as well. So we've got a conference group here with some lateral files. We've got 4 back-to-back lateral files here. We've got a steel case circle lounger. I think all of this furniture actually belongs to steel case. There's touchdown seating and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's easier to see this stuff here on these images. Okay, so first is this crazy Brody chair. Let me just zoom in a little bit so we can see it a little better. And it comes with a little footstool, and it's kind of like this all-in-one little hoteling um workstation, and it's got these sort of privacy screen running around three sides and an upholstered chair. You can see this person sitting on it, and then it has a tablet arm that folds out, and here's the tablet arm right here, and you can plop on your laptop and do some work and use your cell phone, and you sort of have sort of semi privacy in that chair. And it is pretty, it's a cool chair. And I don't know if you've ever gotten a chance to go to the Merchandise Mart. If not, you definitely should go, like particularly in June during NeoCon. But they do, the Steelcase does like to show off this Brody chair, and they're usually there. All right, so then this is just some workstations here. A little more modern take on workstations than they had in the old days. Way back when I was like working in an office, way back when, I was actually in a workstation and had like 6 foot high workstation panels where you were like literally like in a little cubicle, really, quite literally. But workstations have become a lot more open, and the way that people are working these days, it's a lot more collaborative. So there's glass up at the top here, and these are the workstation panels here, and then there's desks here, and between each desk is sort of this I guess a privacy screen, really. I mean, it's not even a panel, it doesn't even come down. So it's pretty cool looking, I think. And here's just another example. I'm not sure that we're actually using this one, but here's some like translucent panels here. This is definitely the direction of workstations these days. And then these are the what are we calling these? The away spaces, and these are actually separate away spaces here that are divided with a partition here. There's an actual partition here, but our away spaces are going to be ganged together so that this partition here it'll be a little bit thinner, and these things will all be connected together. And it's just a private tiny little room right here. Like you can see, this is like really, really small, and it's just for if you need to temporarily make a private phone call or something, or you need to talk to another employee or a client or a guest, and you need more privacy than just sitting at your workstation. So these are kind of like shared spaces. They're not assigned to anybody, and when you do need that extra privacy, you just go into one of these little away spaces. And a lot of companies make these. I mentioned Steelcase, but Coalesce is another firm that manufacturer that makes them, and another one called Technion, and they do like really, really cool, very modern stuff. And Herman Miller also does it. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with these names, but when you get into office design, you will become familiar with them because they are sort of the standards with systems furniture. When I'm bantering the word systems furniture around also, and I don't know if you've heard that before, but when you're talking about systems furniture, well, when you're talking about office furniture, you're really kind of talking about, it's kind of like grouped into two different categories. There's systems furniture, which is like workstations and this type of thing, and then there is case goods, which is like offices where you have a traditional desk with a credenza and maybe a bookcase or something like that. That's normally called case goods. All right, so let's see what else have we got here. So here's just another view of those private little offices. And this here, particularly, these are the touchdown lounge seating. So there is a wall, or in our case, we're going to have a furniture panel back here, and then there's banquette seating that is literally attached to the back of the panel, and then just some tables here that are you can move those around and gang them together, push two of them together and collaborate when you're with a bigger group, 6 or 8 people, or if you're just with 2 or 4, you can pull them apart and just kind of work, at them there. So these are what we are calling the touchdown lounge seating for our project. And here's just another very blurry view, but this one also does have the workstation panel here on the back, whereas this one sort of had a larger piece here that has got some planting on it. And then and I think last but not least, this is the conferencing setup. So this is there's a panel back here at the back, and then attached to it is a table, and then on this panel are, well, in this case, 2 monitors, and then I would assume that there are little cameras up on the top of the monitors, so that you can either collaborate this way with some screens here, or you can video conference with another office. So here's just another view of it. Okay, so that is just just to give you an idea of what this what this furniture is. So I'm going to flip back to this, and I'm going to put this back on my other screen so that I can refer to it, and then I will, hopefully I've got, yeah. Oops, you know what? I actually went ahead and I started drawing millwork on here. But I'll redo the millwork for you all. So what I'll do is I'm gonna freeze this millwork for now. And we'll get back to it a little later. All right, so furniture. I'm going to set my layer to furniture 1, and I'm going to pull in all of my furniture on that furniture 1 layer. And I think because it's going to be, let me just see here. Yeah, it's coming in like really dark. I'm going to go over to my layers, and I'm going to change the color of my furniture 1 layer just to something that is just going to be able to, we're going to see a little better. So maybe there's just this purpley color, or this I'm using color 231. I think that's going to look a little better. I want to make sure that I'm on my furniture layer, and let's get into it. So as I'm pulling I'm not going to do the entire plan, but I will do, I'll at least start us out, or I'll try to do at least one piece of each type. And as I'm bringing it in, I'm just going to kind of like explain how and why I'm bringing it in, and how I'm locating it all. All right, so I'm going to start with this benching group here, and these are kind of like well, these are not good. These are more open than a regular workstation. So actually, before I bring it in, so I did already download these, and I'm looking in my Office folder. So I'm on my I'm in my 2D blocks, and I'm just going to click on the Office folder, and I'll just click open, and then these will all populate in this area here. Okay, and I am also going to make sure that I have insertion point checked, or checked here. And because I'm going to be doing a lot of rotating, I'm going to have rotation checked as well. And then rather than ortho today, I will be primarily using polar tracking. And I want to make sure that I do have that 27 degrees checked so that I'm on that crazy layer that we were drawing our partitions on last time. Okay, so six benching here. And I'm just going to pull it in, and I'm going to rotate it so it snaps to that angle. As I'm rotating it here, it's snapping to 297, or if I rotate it this way, it would snap to 27 degrees. But I'm going to have it go this way here. And there it is. All right, so where to put it? So I'm gonna be using the eyeball method here a lot today, and I'm following the guide on the handout, and I'm kind of just using my eye and my intuition here. So where am I putting this? Well, I want to make sure that I have enough space here for an aisle over here, first of all. And I want to make sure that I'm close, not touching, but quite close to that column. So this workstation has got some monitors up on it, some brackets for monitors. So this workstation is going to be powered. So we have to be thinking about, when we're bringing furniture in, we have to think about, where does the power come from? And sometimes it comes from the floor, like from the floor below, and that what they have to do is core or drill a hole through the floor, and then they have to bring it up power through the floor. Landlords don't always like doing that because it is expensive, but sometimes that's just what you got to do. And I think we do have one or two situations in this project where that occurs. But most of the time, what we want to do is we want to bring it in up next to a wall, or in this case, a column. So I am bringing it up right near my column. So how does the furniture? So how does it get powered? So we're going to have a ceiling up here. So the power is going to come in above the ceiling, and then it'll come down through this column. So I'm assuming that this column is probably smaller than the actual 24 by 24 square that we've got drawn. And so there is space within the column enclosure to bring down some conduit for power, and also quite possibly data too. Now we may be doing wireless, so that maybe there is no data connection, and that's really the trend these days for workstations, is just to have a wireless office. But there is, a lot of offices aren't doing that, and so you need to have both power and data come down in this column. So what happens is the power and data comes down in here, and then there is a cable or hard conduit that goes from the column and goes into the end panel of the workstation. And then from there, it will run down the spine. So this is the spine of the workstation group here, and that spine would be powered. So the power comes down from the column into the workstation panel, and then it travels through, like, this end here or underneath this desk into this panel, and then goes through this panel, and then there's outlets that are in this panel. And this little piece of conduit that actually comes through, and you can actually see it, and it's called a WHIP, WHIP. So if anyone ever talks to you about a WHIP, you know what that is. It's power that's coming from either the wall or a column, and it's whipping into your workstation, your workstation pod or grouping here. So that's what So that is why we are bringing this in right close, not touching, but close to the column or to a wall or to somewhere where we can get that workstation powered. All right, so I've got that one, and I'm just going to use copy here. I could just bring another one in, but I'm going to use copy, and I'm just going to bring in or move this one or copy this one over here. So again, what I'm doing, so I could do measuring here, but what I'm doing is I'm looking at the aisle here, and there's an aisle that is right here, right? You have to get by this column. And so I'm trying to just visually here, I'm just trying to make sure that they are about equal, so that this aisle width here is the same width as this aisle that's going to be back here. And at the same time, I'm bringing it close to this column so I can whip my power into the workstation panel. All right, good. Then I've got a 4-station panel or workstation. And this is just a more traditional workstation here. So let me just pop this in and rotate it into place. And again, I'm going right to that 297-degree angle. And I'm going to move this again over to more or less to, I'm going to turn my snaps off here for a moment, because what I'm doing is I'm snapping, and I don't want to snap. I'm still snapping, but so I'm moving this one in between these two columns right here. So it's tucked between this column and this column. And I don't want to move it like here, because there's no aisle, and then this poor soul coming in, has to deal with this column every time that they go into their workstation. So this is a much more traditional workstation. There's a spine right here, workstation panel, and when it's electrified, but I would generally will call it a spine. So what would happen is the power would whip into the spine, and then there will be power in there underneath the desk for, you can plug in a computer or your laptop, or if you have a desk phone or whatever it is that you want to plug in. And then these are some overhead cabinets up here. You can see there's like little doors, and these open up. They're sitting above the work surface, and they open up for, as often they're called binder bins, and you can just, store whatever supplies you need to store there. And then there is this is showing a little ped here, little pedestal file cabinet. It's got a little handle there, and it looks like it's on wheels here. So that is that panel here, or not panel, but workstation piece. What else? I've got over here, looks like I've got another one over here. I'll just pop that in, and oops, let me try that again. I already brought it in, so it's asking me to redefine the block, and I'm going to redefine it. That's fine. And then I'll just move this over. And again, I'm just kind of using the eyeball method, and I'm using the handout as a guide as to where to put this stuff. Okay, so over here, I've got this lateral file conference group over here. Let me see if I can find it here. No, that's just 4 lateral files. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So I'm going to pull this in. rotate it into place. Again, I want to snap onto the correct angle, and I'm going to move this up near this column. So I'm putting the seating area close to the column, and then these are lateral files that are back here, and that little 3 is indicating it's a 3 high lateral file. That means there's 3 drawers on that file cabinet. So why am I putting it over here? Well, I want these folks to be able to have access to power, right? So I can either there can either just be outlets here, and then they can plug in you know, their cell phone or their laptop if they wish, or we could specify this table here to be powered, and you would again just whip into the underside of this table, and then there could be outlets literally embedded, you know, flush with the face of this with this at top of this table. So you can, you know, have USB ports in there, or you know, duplex outlets if you want. So I'm putting it, you know, in the area of the column. I have a 4-piece that is, let me find another 4 station here, and it's actually down here, I think. I may have this actually wrong here, but I think it's more or less over here. No, it's going, I think it's going over here, actually. So this one, not near any columns. So we should need, this is a situation where you would have a core in the floor. So you would have to, you would literally need to disturb the tenant below, remove some ceiling tiles, and then core through the floor to bring the power up into under one of the desks. So one of the desks would have a little outlet, and then from that outlet it would whip into the furniture panel and power the other, well, all 4 of the workstations. So that's how that would work. The other way is, you know, if your landlord says absolutely not, or you're on the ground floor and you can't get underneath, then what you have to do is you have to use a power pole. And you may or may not have seen a power pole before, but it's usually at one end of the workstation. Well, sometimes it's in the middle, but it's sort of at some location on the workstation panel, and it goes up into the ceiling above, and then that power comes up above the ceiling. Why is my phone ringing? So, you know, like right now, up until November 4th, voting day, I don't know about you, but like my phone in the evening is like constantly ringing with people trying to trying to get my vote. So anyway, the power pole would come down and then power these workstations. All right, what else have I got? So let's look at these 3 enclosed away spaces. So I'm going to pull one of them in here and rotate it into place here. So let me move this. So I got to be careful with this one, because okay, so I'm trying to get the some aisle space here and aisle space over here, and you want to make sure that you orient it so that there's a door right here. You don't want the door by the column. And I have seen people do this in the past where they put the door on this side, and you know, there's just no way to get no way to get into it. You can't squeeze by the column to get into it. So make sure that your door is over here. So and then the side here, this one has a sliding door, and this one has a sliding door as well. So so that's how you would enter this one, and then this one, and then this one you'll enter from the end with an actual swing door. And the reason this one doesn't have a sliding door is on this wall here, there's just, you know, there's no room for the door to slide. So that's why they put, you know, a swing door in there. Okay, so there's another one over here, and I want to, you know, my inclination would be to mirror this, but we can't mirror this because that would make it the opposite of this. And these panels are the panels, these units here are not mirror images. So what I need to do is I can either bring in another one, but I'm going to copy this one and then rotate it 180 degrees here. And I want them to line up with each other. So I'm going to just move, just temporarily, let me turn my my O snaps back on here. I'm going to move it to there. So this is like the door piece over here. So what I'm doing is I'm aligning the corner panels of it, and then I will move this using my, you know, using my O tracking here, and I'm going to move it so it's right up next to this column up here. Okay. What else? Yada yada yada. Let's do the the video conferencing thing. So let's see if I got that somewhere around here. There's a circuit share, so let me pull that in. Well, let me just pull it in, and I'll rotate it later. And then where is, oh, here's the video conferencing. So I'll put this near this wall and rotate it around. There we go. And I'm going to move it near, but not touching the wall. So, okay, good. And then I'm going to rotate. So there's these chairs here. They're kind of like little semicircular lounge seating, really. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to use the eyeball method here. And what I'll show you what I'm going to do. And well, here, wait, let me rotate it like this. So what I'm trying to do is get this edge to be parallel with this, so that, so I'm going to move this, and then I'm going to mirror this. So I'll start at that endpoint and go to like that endpoint there. Array source objects, no. So now I've got, you know, this sort of semicircular lounge seating. So actually this is kind of cool because you can sit like on the lounge seating here and take part in, you know, whatever presentation they might be giving on those screens up here, or if there's teleconferencing, you know, you can be on the meeting that way too. So actually that's pretty cool. All right, what else do I want to show you? Brody chairs. So I've got somewhere on here, here's one of them. I'm just going to pull this in here. So this is the little footstool, and then this is sort of the surround, not sort of, but this is the surround around it. And then this is the chair itself. And then this is that tablet I was talking about that, kind of folds out of place if you don't want to use it. And if you do, you just fold it in front of you and place your laptop on, and you can do some work over there. It's kind of I think it's kind of cool. All right, so we want 4 of them. I'm going to put my ortho on here. So there's 2, and what I'm going to do is just sort of center this grouping of 4 on this bay of glazing here. So what I'll do is I will mirror right on the very midpoint of that glazing. There's my set of 4. And then I think I'll just copy, maybe I'll just use the midpoint of this bay and move it, or not move it, but copy it to the midpoint of this bay. So got, and if it were me, I'd probably put a plant or something over there. I don't know, this just seems kind of dead back here. If you wanted to put a plant there, I wouldn't fault you at all. All right. So this is looking a little messy because I haven't done all of it, but let's look at an office. So in the office furniture, I've got, let's see here. Let me just see. If I click on office fixtures, no, that's not it. Oh, here, Project 10 furniture blocks. If I click on, so if I open up Project 10 furniture blocks, yes. So now I have the regular, more traditional case goods, if you will, which is just a regular desk and a credenza and, a return or table. So that is what's going to go into the offices. So let's see what I've got here, a 30 by 60 desk over here. So I'll plop that in. Oh, I've got my ortho on, so it's not tracking around. So let me go. So there's my 30 by 60 desk. And I've got a credenza. Let's see, is there looks like, I don't have a 60-inch credenza, it looks like. So, okay, so we'll use a larger credenza here. Let me just rotate that. And I'm going to move this just temporarily so that the midpoint of the credenza is right at the midpoint of the desk. So I want them centered. And then I'll just move this back like 4 feet. And maybe 3'6". I'll move that back 6 inches. Okay, so let me sidebar for a moment and vent. So just last Friday, I teach the CAD 1 class. You all remember CAD 1, right? So in the CAD 1 class, they were doing the law office. I don't know if you can remember, search your memory banks for the law office, where there was a whole bunch of furniture in there. And they were like doing, they were just doing crazy stuff where like the desk and the credenza was like literally here. It's just in the middle of the room, or there was just like all kinds of wackiness. And I had to stop everyone and say, okay, wait, we have to do this so that it looks realistic. It has to actually function. And I'm not telling you all because you've already been through that, but the office does need to function. And it's important to place furniture correctly in the room so that we know that it fits. So like somebody was like doing all the chairs, every single chair was like the executive chair, like the guest chairs in the break room. He had 4 executive chairs in the break room. Your client would have a conniption if when the furniture is being installed and your client sees that, she's going to turn to you and say, what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing that? So you do need to be careful about what chairs you're putting in, because it is, ultimately it is important, because your furniture dealer is going to use the chairs that you specify, that you locate, and that those are the chairs that they're going to put into your space, and your client's going to pay for them. So there is an executive chair, chair EXE, executive, and then I've got some side chairs, or guest chairs, I guess. And what I like to do when I'm placing guest chairs is I like to place one, and then so that the other one is sort of like exactly next to it and centered on the desk. I like to mirror it just right at the midpoint of the desk. Come back. So I've got my two side chairs. And what else is in there? There's some guest seating here. There's put one of those in here, and they're kind of like on an angle, I guess. Looks like. And I've got a little table here, just a little drum table. So I'll just do and again, when you're sizing your tables, it needs to be real. It has to be, again, someone was doing break room tables. I'm sorry that I'm venting to you guys, but it was just really frustrating to me. They were doing tables that were like 1'7" and 3/8 of an inch in diameter. I defy you to find a table that's 1'7" and 3/8 in diameter. And that was a break room table. Like 4 executive chairs were around that tiny little table, and they're all supposed to have their lunch at it. So it's not like realistic. So for this drum table, I'm gonna usually an 18-inch drum table is a good size. So I'm going to do my radius half of 18 or 9 inches, and that looks good. And then what I'll do is I'll just mirror this chair right on the center of my drum table along that 27-degree angle. That looks pretty good. And then when you have case goods, you want to put it close to the wall, but you don't want it exactly touching. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is often there is outlets behind it, and you can't touch, because you've got cords coming up or something. And we want to be able to distinguish our case goods or our furniture from millwork. And we'll talk about millwork in a couple minutes, but there is a difference between the two. So we want to generally, case goods come almost to the wall, but not quite. Okay, so there I have one desk set up, and now I can, once you have one desk set up nicely, you can just copy it to the other offices. So that's kind of why I did the one, and then I've got another one over here. All right. What else? I've got an executive office here and blah blah blah. Same kind of thing. But over here, I've got a big conference room. And this has got a great big 8-foot diameter table. So I'm just going to go with my circle tool right in the middle. And it's 8-foot diameter. So I could click diameter and type 8 feet. But if I don't want to do the math and figure out the radius, but half of 8 is 4 feet. So I'll just type in 4 feet for the radius. And then I'm going to use, gosh, what chair? Executive chair. I think I'm going to use, I don't have a conference room chair, so I'm going to just make an executive decision here. I think the executive chair is too big, but I'll do this mid-size, this side chair. I'll use that. I'm just going to put it right at the quadrant of that circle. not rotate it. And then I'm just going to move it straight up. Put my ortho on for this. And just come up like 2 inches or 3 inches. Just so it's at the table, but not, you know, not on it. And then I'll just array, right? I'll just do a polar array. Just array this around the table, select the chair, specify the center point, which would be at the center of our big old conference table. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, but I need, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So I need 12 chairs. So I'm going to change this to 12. And that looks pretty good. So I might want to just move this a little bit. One is pretty simple. Oops. Wait, let me redo that. Let's try that again. So I had exploded the array previously, so mine is exploded. So I'm going to select the chair, specify the center point, and then specify 12 chairs. So I had here associative unchecked. So what I don't know if you noticed or not, but as I was moving the chairs, they were all separated, and I want to just keep them all locked together. Just easy for me when I'm moving stuff around. So I'm going to make sure that associative is selected here. And so I've got 12 chairs, and now they're all you know, attached. And now I'm going to close my array. So now I can move this and just get it, you know, right. Let me turn my ortho off here. Get it right where I want it. I'm kind of pushing it back in the room so that when you walk in, you know, you just have a little bit of breathing space before you're on the back of this chair here, and then you can walk around a little more comfortably. And you know what? I also have another great big conference room on the other side, and I'm just going to copy it. Or you don't have to copy it. You could redraw this, and that would be perfectly fine, but I'm going to copy it. Okie doke. Good. Let's look at the training room. So there's a training room over here. And we've got some 2x5 training tables in here. Do I have? Yes, here, 2x5 training table. And I'm just gonna let me put my polar tracking back on. There we go. And I'm going to just use these general chairs here. This is just a lightweight, small chair. We'll use this in the break room too. So I'm just going to put just going to kind of come close here. And just move it just a little bit. And then again, I like to see them centered so that, you know, like this gap is the same on this side as it is over here. So what I will do is mirror, and I'll use the midpoint of the table as my mirror line. Okay, so those chairs are too close together. So let me move it a little bit over to the left. Okay, so now let me mirror. That looks a little better. All right, so I'm going to move this training table. I'm just looking at the handout here. Just about that corner is going to go just about at the corner of this engaged column over here. All right. And then a lot of times when you're doing training tables, they are ganged together. Ganging is, oops, I moved rather than copied. So let me copy. When you're ganging furniture, you are you're attaching it. It's two separate pieces of furniture, but there is like a clip or a connector on the underside of the table, and it gangs them together. They're actually attached so that they're not, they don't they stay in a nice neat line. Okay, so there I've got one row of ganged training tables, and then so there we've got rows that are going back that are 5 feet apart. So I'm going to go along my 27-degree angle, and I'm going to go up 5 feet. And then another 5 feet. So 5 feet plus 5 feet is 10 feet. So I'll just type 10 feet. There we go. Good. And then I've got 2 rows in this direction. So I could take this and copy it 5 feet and then 10 feet, just like I did back here. But, just to keep things fresh, I'm going to copy 2 rows here. And I'm going to use this corner as a base point and just copy those 2 rows to there, just like that. Lovely. All right. Yeah, that looks like a good training space. So there's a little podium here, and that podium is 24 by 24. So I'm just going to use the rectangle tool here. I'm just going to use 2 feet, 24, tab 24. And then there's a little front on the podium, and it's literally just 2 inches off of this face. So I'll just go with my line tool, and I'm going to O-track down 2 inches and just go straight across. So there's my podium. And maybe I can rotate this. I don't know, just a little maybe, or maybe it's, well, I don't know, maybe it's like that. Okay. So while I'm in here, let's talk about the millwork. The millwork is the base cabinet. There's a really long base cabinet back here, and you can store paper and all kinds of stuff in there, and then you can set it up for lunch, so they can bring in lunch, and you can set up lunch in there. So there is going to be a base cabinet running here, and it is base cabinets generally are 24 inches deep. So I'm just going to offset, I think, 24 inches. So if I were to O-track up 24 inches, O-tracking and angles they just don't get along really well. So I'm kind of stuck with when I'm O-tracking on this 27-degree angle. So I'm going to offset 2 feet or 24 inches. And then over here, I have a media wall. So a media wall is, it depending on, especially in executive conference rooms, a lot of times there's lots of millwork, and everything is sort of hidden behind walls, and the media wall has like sliding panels or panels that swing open, and behind them are whiteboards or tack boards or TVs or monitors and stuff like that. So I'm gonna our media wall is just going to be 6 inches thick. So I'm going to offset 6 inches. It's just going to come across here, and then the media wall is going to go the full length, and then so this here I'll just do a little bit of trimming right here. Okay, so now this is on my, for some reason it's on old walls partition. I don't know why I did that, but it's on my partitions layer. And I don't want that. I want it to be on a millwork layer. So let me go over to my layers. And I already created a millwork layer here. So I'm just going to create a new one. And I'll just call mine millwork 1. just to distinguish it from the other one. And I'm going to call it, I'm going to make it yellow. And I'm also going to, it's going to be a fairly light line weight. I don't want it as heavy as my partitions. So my partitions are 0.25. I'm making my millwork 18. I could make it 20, but I really want to distinguish it a little better, more than 20. So I'm making mine 8.18 millimeters. So just click on the line weight and then just select 0.18, click OK. And then, and while I'm at it, I'm going to make my millwork layer current. Let me just see if I can't. Oh, for some reason I have it frozen. I don't know why, but there we go. So now I'm on my millwork one. You would just have millwork, but I already put a millwork layer in. And then I'm going to just change this to the millwork layer. Good. Okay, so now my millwork on the handout, it's kind of like coming out and it's extending out here a little bit. And I'm gonna make a change here. I'm not gonna do that because I just think that a piece of millwork that is like wedge shaped like this is just gonna be, this is just gonna be a dust collector back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fur out this column. I'm gonna draw some walls around this column to clean this up a little bit. And I already did that to some extent over here, but I'm gonna do it again right here. So I'm gonna go with my line tool and I'm gonna start at the corners here, and I'm gonna go straight up or straight at that angle that we're working on. And I'm just gonna click, or not click, but I'm just gonna hover on this endpoint and then go back and snap to that. Well, it's not snapping very well. So you know what? I'm just gonna draw that line. And then I will draw another line to there. And I'm gonna draw another line back to here. And now I'm going to do some filleting. So this will make sense once I fillet this. And then I'm going to use trim and then hold shift to extend that to the wall. So now let me trim out. So now I need to give this some thickness. So I'm going to offset it 5 inches, right? Because our walls are generally 5 inches. And I'm going to fill it around and trim that. And then the last thing I'm going to do, of course, is to make sure that it's on the walls layer. So I'm going to use match properties. I'll select the wall, and then I will put this on the walls layer. So now I have this little column bumped out here. And yes, it's eating into the space a little bit, but now my millwork butts up into the side of it, and it's much cleaner. It's just a much more professional look, I think. All right. I think that looks pretty good. So let's look at the break room here. Oh, I already put a sink in here, and I also put a refrigerator in here, but that's okay. So I'm going to have some millwork that is running along this wall and this wall, and this is an awful lot of millwork. But I'm just kind of following the handout here. So I'm going to just extend this to there. Oh, no, I guess I'm not, because I have millwork over on this side. So I'll offset 24 inches because our base cabinets are 24. And I'll fillet this. And then I need to close this off. So I'll just use my line tool, extend that to the wall. and change all of this millwork. I'm going to use match properties here and change this all to my millwork layer. So I pulled in already a sink and a refrigerator. Let's see if I can find it for you. I think if I go to office fixtures, yeah, there's a double sink that you can pull in, and here's a refrigerator. So you can pull those in from that office fixtures.dwg file. And then I'm just going to pull this back a little bit so that, let me put my ortho on here. And then just draw the end of this base cabinet. Now, normally when I'm drawing the elevations, then this would I would, you know, then you're going to, when you're drawing the elevations, you'll decide, you know, okay, are these 36-inch base cabinets or 42, and then at that point that'll sort of lock down where exactly this is. But for the purpose of this drawing, I'm just going to put that, you know, I'm just using the eyeball method there. I put my refrigerator on the appliances layer, which is what we definitely want to do. And this is, I've never seen this much millwork in an office kitchen. So this is crazy time, but we'll show it. I'm deliberating whether or not to show it, or, you know, you could actually put like small tables here if you wanted. That actually might be nice to do, because we're showing bigger tables here, and I generally like to have a variety of seating when I'm doing a break room, because sometimes you want to eat in a group, and sometimes you want to eat by yourself, or, you know, in a smaller group. Let me go back to, I'll go back to that office folder here. Oh, I'm going to go back to the Project 10 furniture blocks, because that's got in this general chair that I'm going to use in the break room here. Okay, so I've got a 4-foot diameter table, so I'll just use my circle, and I can either type in the radius for 4-foot diameter is half of 4 feet or 2 feet, right? Or well, here I need to specify the center point, or I can click on diameter down here. If I can't figure out what half of 4 feet is, I can click on diameter and then type in 4 feet. And I'll pull in my general chair. And I'm just going to move it. Oh, you know what? This is coming in on my millwork layer. So let's put that on my furniture layer. And we'll array this. And I just need 4 chairs around that table. And then I think I'm just going to rotate, and I'm going to use the center of the table. I'll turn off my ortho here, and I'm just kind of rotating it just so, you know, it kind of like aligns neater with the room. And then just copy these. I'll put my ortho back, or my polar tracking back on. Oh, I moved, not copied. And I'll tell you what, if you want to take some liberties with this break room and put furniture in, you know, in a different configuration, I think that would be perfectly fine. And if you wanted to, you know, maybe put some tables over here and get rid of this millwork, I think that would be perfectly fine. And actually, to be honest, pretty realistic too. You know, I much rather have more seating in here than millwork, unless we're going to have, 5 or 6 microwave ovens lined up or something in there. If there's some specific reason for that, I would rather devote that space to tables than to millwork. Okay, what else have I got in here that I haven't shown? Millwork here. There's a little bit of millwork in this room here. There is it looks like I've got a counter here, and I can't really tell, but I think it is, well, let's make it 24 inches long deep. So I'll offset it 24. And I'm just going to extend this. I'll just use trim and hold my shift key to extend. And then it looks like I have on my notes that this is 18 feet long. So what do? I can draw a line 18 feet long, but you know what I'm going to do, just to keep things sort of fresh, I'm going to offset 18 feet, and I'm just going to offset this little piece of wall, or right there. I'm going to offset it over, and then I'll just use trim and extend, and then just clean this up too. And then, of course, use match properties and get this on my millwork layer. And what else? Then I have an 18-inch deep shelf or counter back here. So I'll offset 18 inches. And again, this would be a wacky piece of millwork here, but that's fine. I'm not gonna go crazy. And I'll just match properties, put that on my millwork layer. Just want to be diligent about making sure that all of my millwork is on the right layer. There is a long credenza over here, and let's make that, I don't know, let's make it 24 inches. Oh, you know what? No. So this one's coming way out in front of the window. So we'll make this credenza shallower. And what I'll do is I'll make it the depth. I'll just align it with this corner right here. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So we've got, last but not least, or well, next, I guess, we've got a custom strange shaped credenza for this executive office here. And on my notes, it says that these lengths are 4 feet. So let's just draw a line here that is 4 feet long. And I'm going to draw a line here that's going up on that angle 4 feet. And then we will just connect the dots. What other tricky millwork have we got? Let's come down here. So this is some kind of a workroom of some sort, maybe a elaborate mailroom or something. And I have counters running around 3 sides. So we'll make those 24 inches deep. So I'll offset 24. And actually, on those notes that I have, I think I have 25 written. If you want to make it 25, that's fine. But generally speaking, I make it 24 inches. So let's fillet these corners. Okay, so where does this end and where does this stop? So, all right, on this door, I don't know if this door is going to have a closer or not. If it did have a closer, we'd have to follow the ADA guidelines, which would be on the push side of the door. So if we're standing on this side of the door, this is the push side because we push this door open to get into this room. We would need to have 12 inches of wall here before we have the counter. So let's just do that. I'm just going to hover over here and O-track down 12 inches and then go straight across. And then I'll just fill it that. And while we're at it, because this piece of cabinets here is like a perfect U here, let me just go and just draw. I'm just going to draw straight across here. Make sure that I'm going perpendicular. Well, I guess it just happens to be at the midpoint. And then I can just fill it this. And then, of course, make sure all of these lines are on my millwork layer. And then in this room, this is kind of like a file room. And in here we have 18-inch deep shelves. So let's offset 18 inches. And I've got the end of the shelf is right here. And I'll just fill it around. Oh, you know what? It's also on the fourth side, isn't it? So let's offset 18 inches on that side. Do some filleting. And I'll just do the same thing here. I'll just go down. I'm going to assume that this is not on a closer. So I'm just going to come down 12 inches and then straight across. Fill with that. And then, of course, make sure that all of my line work is on the right layer. Super, super, super important. I've got a closet here, and let's put in a hat shelf and a coat rod. So let me go from the midpoint straight across. And I also have one here, just right at the midpoint, perpendicular. I think that pretty much covers the millwork except for our reception desk. So in I don't know in a couple of weeks we're gonna do a axonometric of the reception desk. We're gonna actually draw it in 3D. But for this, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay it out. So I am not sure if I have those dimensions for you, but I'll give them to you right now. So I'm going to start. So the desk is kind of like an L shape, and it's got a rounded corner over here, and then there's a 3-foot aisle right here so that you can get behind and get in, behind the desk. So I'm going to offset 3 feet or 36 inches. Either one makes the same, no difference. And that's just going to set this corner right here so that we can start it. All right, line tool. I'm going to come down, and you might want to write these down 5 feet. So that's coming down. That's coming down on that 27-degree angle, 5 feet. Then we're going to go in this direction, 12 feet, 6 inches. And then we're going to come back 3 feet. So then I'm going to do some offsetting. I'll offset 3 feet this way and this way. And then I'll just do some trimming, or I'll do some filleting here. And let me match properties here. So again, so this is 3 feet here. This length is 5 feet. This length is 12 foot 6 inches. This depth is 3 feet, and this depth is 3 feet. Okay, so now I want to curve this corner. And this corner is going to have a 36-inch radius or a 3-foot radius. So I know that we filleted with radii before. So this is a good opportunity to do it again. So I'll go to fillet. And I need to select the radius. So right now, if I fillet, it's going to fillet with a nice, crisp, sharp corner. So I'll come down here to fillet and I will click radius. And then right now the radius is at 0, which gives me nice crisp corners. And I'm going to change that radius to 3 feet or 36. 3 feet and 36 inches, either one. And then I'll click this line and then this line, and voila. There is my nice curve. Okay, so then the last thing on here is a transaction top. And a transaction top is, you know, you've been to offices where you walk in and the desk is low, generally at 30 inches high, and then at 36 or 42 inches high, there is a high thing so that while you're standing there, you can write down, you know, you can sign in or put a piece of a book down or a piece of paper down. So that is a transaction top. Generally speaking, transaction tops are 12 inches deep. So what I'll do is I'll offset 12 inches. And I'll just come offset in there. I'll offset my radius. And I'll just offset this little piece of line. And that is my reception desk. And the last thing that we need is a chair for that receptionist. And I'm just looking here. I've got an executive chair here. I'll just copy this chair. Or you know what? Here, I'll just put it in this way. I think this will be easier for me. And this chair does not go on the millwork layer. This is a piece of furniture, right? So we are going to put it on furniture. So I kind of whipped through this, but I think you have the idea for this. It's really pretty much just pulling stuff in, making sure it's at the right angle, and just being thoughtful about getting equal aisles on both sides, making sure that furniture is, when we can, close to a column or a wall. In this case, there's a wall here so that we can whip power into that system's furniture and, you know, and power it. When we're putting in case goods, we want the furniture to be close. You know, usually I'll usually put it like 1 inch or 2 inches away from the wall. So it's near the wall, but it is just not touching the wall. The millwork, you know, just work your way around. And I think I've got all the dimensions for the millwork in. Make sure that millwork goes on the millwork layer. Make sure that furniture goes on the furniture layer. And I think you'll be in good shape.